start, I guess, by just showing the auction gun for today. I decided to kind of dig around in some of the hammerhead area and try to set more of a dedicated shaped projectile sniper type of gun. So I've got a little bit longer of a rail, nice little elevated scope with a couple little cheap flip ups. But it will come with a nice hammerhead barrel, a little bang stick with a 6.86 fin. So it should be perfect for those people using first strike. Well, this is our auction for today. So starting at $100. You gonna keep trying to get it up and going, or you want to just go?
Just go live.
Okay. So instead of having the little link where you can throw the bids, we're actually gonna just do it live right on the live feed. So you will see who you're obviously competing with to get this gun as you're putting out your bids. Let's just do it in like $10 increments, starting at $100. Next person plays a bid is say 110, and we'll go from there.
It does have a hammerhead barrel in there, right?
Yeah, hammerhead barrel.
That alone is like about $80 right there. It's right off the bat, you get a pretty decent platform to get the feel.
So today we wanted to discuss a little bit about just basics, MagFed basics, because what we've experienced over the past, and even just this past weekend, is that even people that are still heavily and have been heavily involved in MagFed still have problems, simple fix problems when they get to the field. And I think it just has a lot to do with their familiarity with that particular marker they're holding in their hand. So, what do you want to start with? I think airing it up?
Yeah, I think this today for a MagFed Weekly, we're going to go over some systems, how to get together different type of magazine that we have, different model, so that way you guys get a good catch of the different system we have. At the same time, just what we saw this weekend, there was some basic operational aspect that kind of keep few players off the field. So we just get back from focal board. Now we're gonna try and pass the information to you guys so you can have stay on the field longer.
160, 150. Whoa, we're already up at 160?
Way to go, Matty!
Keep it coming. It's a nice little setup.
So how about, I'll go over some of the systems that we have first. There are a lot of questions about air, how to attach your air, remote line, the different type of magazine that we have, and so on. So let's start with the different type of system we have. Right, so this is just a basic bolt marker. You attach the air down at the ASA there, and then you just rack it back and off you go. You can install your mil-spec barrel nut, and you can attach different type of mil-spec handguard there. You can input your internal air system. You can put your air inside the stock. You grab it again. We're right behind you again. Again with mil-spec on the. No, one of those. Actually, yeah. This one would do. So with this mil-spec adapter right there, you can install your mil-spec handguard. This is Noveski NSR handguard. And you can put in your internal air like this one right here. Different model, of course, but of course you can put your air pipe inside. Now you can run your air in the back of the plug stop there. You have one right behind you with the, that one. All right. So opposed to this version here has the air tank inside buttstock. Just different options you can have with that. At the same time, you're able to build two configurations that you want. So next one we're going to go with is the 468. Maybe question the 468. A lot of new players who get in 468. There are a couple fundamental that you have to know so that way you can operate your 468 on the field. First, the marker will not able to fire unless you have a round fully chamber and a loaded magazine. So if you were to go fire, say for example, you had a magazine in, you rack it back, and you go fire, you gotta click. That means that the lockbolt kicked in and you will not fire. You can't even dry fire even if you want to. So you have to put a loaded magazine inside before you can fire that. All right. So air tank. If you have the micro gauge, all 4.6 now are shipped with a micro gauge on the tank rather than the bigger one that we have in the past. And what happens is if you have a gauge on the up position, you put a charger handle back, it will hit the gauge and you can never get a good firing cycle. So I always recommend when you put your 4.68 ready before you use, always do a cycle test. So you go walk back, make sure it cycles. When that does cycle, then you put your mag in and you go at it. Otherwise, you don't even know if the internal, the mechanical aspect of it, it's operational. That's like the key there. Air tank. Okay, if you have this SCA thing, air tank stock, you can pull it out pretty easily. If you have the, you grab me one of those other ones, the TCA stock, you can't take it off that easy. It's nice to have, but at the same time, it's not very. I think there's one over there. Yeah. Take your rod off. All right, air tank. There were a couple of players at the field that we played last week. What happened is that they got the air tank in slightly, just air it like that, and they go and they do a full mag. And of course, after a couple of shots, the tank came loose, and the guns start sputtering, and they start losing their the operational there. So what we did is we helped them. You go all the way in, and then you back it out until you have just enough for you to insert the guide here, and that will be adequate. And then slide your buttstock back on, and you're good to go there. So that's the SCA buttstock. You can pull it off pretty easily. This is more like for paintball. And for recreation, you can pull it off, change your tank, and be able to feel if you want to. Easy for you to remove and install there. All right, but that's not too good for training because sometimes you have an operator and they want to change their position quickly. They go pull it off, and most of the time they just pull right out on a recreational. That's why on the T-Safe buttstock, we made it a little bit tighter, and you can't take it off. And it's nice, but it's also a nuisance to it. Now you can't pick it up at all. And what you do is you have to get a hook to pull it out, or get a little screwdriver or something like that to push the little pin here up. I do have a trick that I can show you really quick here. So what I do is you press this, and then I back it out, and then I turn the whole tank assembly off. All right, and to take it off from this, I put forward and then slide the tank off, just like that. To put it back in reverse, put the guide in first, put the tank back in here, except a little here, there you go. All right, now let's come back in, rotate it together.
For those of you who missed the beginning, that's kind of why we're a little late. We had technical difficulties with the auction. So it's not on the MCS website, it's just live right here. I believe the last bid that I saw, it's up to 160, I think.
160 by Maddie.
By Maddie.
Maddie Pinfield.
So you're gonna see it live right in the feed. Just start throwing out your bids, $10 increments or more if you want. If you want, I'll show it in a minute as soon as KT's done.
Okay, so go in and then you slide back down, slide forward here, and then lock into the up position, and that's it.
Sorry, it's at 190. I can't see the screen from here.
190.
It's already at 190.
Go, Maddie.
Okay.
All right, so that's how that's how it works for the air tank there. Do practice. You know what? We totally recommend get your markers, shoot it, play around with it. give us a call, chat, and let us kind of help you watch this video and learn how to use the system, go over the operation before you take it out. That way, when you are in the field, you can overcome pretty much any issue you have. Right, for magazines, I got a lot of questions on magazines.
So just a second, it's actually Timothy Brooks again that's at 190.
Oh!
So, he got the last one and now he's fighting for the next one.
Alright, so magazines, we have two versions of magazines. We have the Helix, and let me show you the clear. Helix magazine, you have a U shape, it goes all the way around. It's great for paintball or first strike or shape projectile. If you're in a dry area, it's fantastic. But if you're in a cold climate, humid, wet, Helix not so great because the spring has to be strong enough to go around the U, so the strength is quite up there. Sometimes when you have paintball that are not so great, it will crush the ball or kind of stack them up. So that's where the DMAG comes in. DMAGs have two stack, but the single that goes straight up, so spring is really light, so really easy on paint. Over the weekend, we got a couple of players we're using Helix and they're going to stop.
I think the field itself, everybody in the MagFed community knows to get a more robust paintball, like a Valkyrie Graffiti, Marbleizer, Nelson Anarchy, some of the ones off the top of my head. But your field may not always offer that. Sometimes it's contractually they're obligated to buy a particular type of paint, or in this case they did try to get some a little too late and they didn't have Valkyrie Graffiti available in the time frame needed for this event. So they had to go with something a little less quality. It was cold out there. It was the paint became very brittle. So there's quite a few people that had some issues. And as soon as I actually switched them over to the DMAG, the rest of the day was fine for them. And that's kind of why I stressed the point that that's what the DMAGs were designed for from the very get-go. We've been doing this a long time, from the old wind-up mags, and they would crush paintballs if you didn't have a really robust paintball. This was even of a time before graffiti was even around. So we had a huge battle in the beginning, first starts of the company, when graffiti started to really come around and have that more robustness to it. It started to change things. It made people to where they had options.
Right. And you're at the mercy of the field. Sometimes the field, you don't know you would get it. Paintball have been sitting around for months, or fresh paintball, there can be too big or too small. You just don't know what you're gonna get. That's why the D-bags, they're pretty inexpensive, like $6 a piece. And you can get a few of these, so that way you can use these for backup just in case you run into
that problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I recommend to those players, definitely just get yourself a 5-pack, 10-pack, whatever. Just have some handy for those type of days where you have no control. Because most fields are not going to allow you just to bring the case of paint back and say, hey, give me another case of paint or give me my money back. That's not really supporting your field. They're kind of at the mercy of the industry themselves. They've got a business to run. You still have a way to have a good time. But anybody who's rolling with helixes, especially in frigid areas, humid areas, hot areas, and for us in California, usually it's really good plain weather. That just happened to be a really cold day. The paint was pretty brittle, and it caused a mess. Even with the few people that I knew that had graffiti, had some problems with those springs, and as soon as I changed them over to DMAGs. And that's the benefit of the DMAG platform itself, is that we have options. Some of the other guys that had some other markers were kind of just stuck with that, and they fought through it, they muscled through it. And some of the other guys that had their T15s or their Milsigs, they were using first strikes anyway, so we know that's not a big issue with breaking. But the guys that were out there just having a good time, the new people that are starting, right. That's really what this is about, because we saw so many more new faces out there. And we want to be able to kind of find a way for them to know what to expect, what to do. I had one person who shot their 4.68 for the first time in several months, and didn't understand why it only rolled out about 5 feet. Turns out that the bolt had been removed when someone cleaned it for that player, and they had no idea. And their response to me was, I have never opened it. So we're seeing a lot more of that, where players are coming out there, they're very interested in this style of paintball versus your regular hopper ball, but they are new and they're inexperienced and they need a lot of help.
So just to clear it up, Helix, 20 rounds, U-shape, all-around good magazine for normal use. D-Mags, get 10-10 and 7-7. So for brittle paintball, for environment that's not too friendly with paintball. So those are that's the difference between Helix and D-Mags. You want to show them
Yeah, so let me, for those of you that are just coming in, this is actually the auction for today. It is just a blizzard, but one thing that I wanted to do is to specifically get it designated for a shape projectile first strike type of setup already. So it does have the correct bolt, but also it has a hammerhead bang stick. So you have a 14-inch hammerhead bang stick with a 6.86 sizer, so the perfect size for a first strike shooting gun with the scope. So kind of more of a detonated, kind of cheap, inexpensive sniper setup for those who want to shoot first strikes. And last I heard, we are at 190 still. So hopefully that's where we're still at. We're doing it live right on the chat. Our system was a little laggy today. We get a little bit of rain in California and everything goes haywire. So we're just go ahead and put in your bid right there in the middle of the chat, and we'll keep track of it. Anything else?
remote lines.
Remote line.
Yeah, show them how the remote line works.
Okay, so one of the things that I've seen with remote lines, and we get this issue on the phone quite a bit, we get this at fields when I'm out there, and there's little simple things that you can do to help yourself, especially with many people that are just getting theirs. When they screw in the remote line, you have obviously some machine threads on this end and machine threads on this end. Obviously they come from two different factories, two different type of setups. The threads don't always match up perfectly. I mean, that's one reason why when you screw on your tank, you know, your gauge can be at that 12 o'clock position, you know, or the 6 o'clock position. I mean, you get it all over, and that's just where the threads themselves actually catch and meet up. Same thing happens with a remote line. So at times you have to, people try to just clock it right to where they want it and they think that's enough. A lot of times you gotta go until it actually stops, where it bottoms out. At that point, you just back it out to right about here.
So the alignment.
There are times where the threading is really way off. And
That's normal for everything because of the nut and the screw.
Yeah, it's a normal occurrence with threading, but there are times where you will actually get this thing to clock and stop right about there. I'll admit you're kind of in a tough situation because you got to back it up quite a bit to clock it and get it in the right position.
That's like a 3 o'clock position. That's the worst thing you can have. Huh?
Yeah, that's probably one of the worst I've seen. But this thing will lock it into place, okay? But you've now created a pretty large gap space between your solid remote line and your ASA adapter. So what I've done, and with a lot of success with a lot of players, is actually put a tank O-ring on the inside of the female connector, right up against that edge. And when the air goes in, it actually creates a buffer that's pushing up against the nose of this remote line, sealing it up, allowing it not to leak. So if you have to back it out that much, it'll help, and then you're good to go. The other thing that I have seen from multiple situations is remote lines and combination of the 468 itself. You know, so everybody knows if it's not aired up, you just get that little click. Okay. First response is my gun's not working, but there are times where there's two types of remote lines. Obviously, there's just a standard remote line. You plug it in, air goes through, it airs up. But you have what happens quite commonly in the industry is that you have that pressure built up in your gun. So when you go to remove this and disconnect it, you get a big explosion of air. Not explosion, big burst of air. Okay? But what it ends up always doing is unseating this O-ring quite a bit. So obviously that's where slide checks come in. So you can degas, depressurize, okay? And then that way you're actually able to degas the line so there's no build-up pressure, then disconnect. And I've seen this quite a bit, so if you ever come across somebody who is airing up their tank and airing up their gun and it's just not working, one, make sure this on and off is on, so there's actually air in the line. But secondly, and pretty comically, make sure this valve is turned on, because I have had multiple times where just that simple turning on, getting air into the gun is what the problem is. Even to the point of where we've had guns sent in for RMA repairs, and all it was they just need to turn on their slide check, you know. So just kind of keep that in mind. Air is usually your #1 source, whether your gun will work or not work, so you have to make sure, first and foremost, it's getting air. And then from there, you look at other aspects of the guns.
You want to air it up? Yeah, let's air it up. Show them the whole cycle. So before you attach your air tank to it, make sure your slide check right here is back. So what we do is, we used to have the slide check attached to the remote line directly. So it's one unit, so we decided to keep it separate because a lot of people, when they go use it, they get dirt in between the slide check and it starts to leak. And if you are in a game, you're done, you're screwed. Your remote line is useless. So we made it separate, that way if you have a leak at this point there, you take this off and just stick this directly into your marker, and then you won't lose the game time. Alright, so another thing is that you want to degas before you take this remote line off, because what happens if you have this pressurized, when you go pull it off, the pressure will eject the O-ring in here out, and then you lose the O-ring in there and you're screwed for the day. Right, so the way that you use this, you attach the adapter on. And if you don't have one of these and you have this basic remote line, you can always get this separately to attach it on. So what works is just attach this on and keep the slide back. Air it up. You will notice that the whole cable, the coil, kind of filled up with air, and it kind of gets a little bit of sturdy, I would say stiff. And if you slide forward, air will start to pass through. It's going to move slowly, so you can see here. See that? Start coming out. So if you slide back, it stops.
Okay. So of course, with every gun, no matter which one you're using, always make sure it's charged back. Especially with like the bolt or the vortex. We also get that a lot where people say, I air it up and air is just leaking out the barrel. Well, they got to charge it to seat the seal of the poppet. Once you do that, then it's fine. From that point on, you're able to just air it right up and it should fire. I don't have a pin to hold it, but.
You want to shoot, you saying?
No, I'm just saying, just air it up, it's ready to shoot. But.
So see how he does that? You probably want to show him again. So normally you can't take the remote line off until you degas it using the knob or take the tank off. But now you can actually degas it by just sliding out, air blast off, you can take it off. So that's the beauty of having a slide check on your remote line.
The auction will be over when the actual live feed is over, so keep going. I don't know where we're at right now. Let's see.
The last I saw was 190 by Timothy Brook and Matt. I haven't seen anybody place an auction right there. The last one I got is Dusty for 190. Oh, 190 Timothy.
No, it's Timothy Brooks.
All right, let's go over that auction again. Where's the auction guy?
So again, here's the auction gun.
So you get your Blizzard system here, internal air, remote line. You get your bang stick or barrel stick?
Bang stick.
That's a bang stick, hammerhead barrel. What fin do you use? 686?
686.
686, so first strike ready. Magazine, it comes with 2 magazines, one of the first strike D mags and 1 helix.
Alright, so Michael Grabato just put 200 and Timothy Brooks just said 225. So
oh yeah!
it's still going up.
Of course, scope. if you get one of those optimizer, you're pretty much set to go. It has the mil spec barrel nut adapter too, so you don't like this 9 inches. Is 9 inch? 9 inch hand guard. You can actually take that out and put another one in. It's a really nice piece. Of course, it has the ship projectile bolt ready built inside.
Conversion kit's dropped $99, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a Saul Alvarado asking how much the conversion kit for a 98 will cost. All the conversion kits for the except for the Phenom are $99. Phenom is still at $119.
The difference is that now all conversion comes with 5 magazines. So with what we like to do is get more new players to come in. So we decided to give them enough magazine to start playing. So where all the mag kits now are $99 and it comes with 5 Helix magazines.
Hey, Teddy's on.
Teddy.
Teddy. There are 4 candidates in Laos. So if you got any questions for him, make sure you hit him up while he's listening looking at the chat.
Anybody have any question, let us know before we kind of finish this off. And the auction can also go off too. So basically this episode, we just want to go over the MagFed Order 1. And that's prompt from the game we just get back over the weekend, where there were a lot of players, new players, and there were a lot of questions. We want to cover the basics on how to attach an air tank, how to load the different type of magazines, and remote lines, and basic operation. That way, when you go out to the field, you can help each other. Because new players is kind of the heart of our sport. If you cannot win a new player to come in and give them a try and have them stay playing, well, this sport cannot go on. So that's what we're trying to do, is try and get educate the new players and pass them the knowledge, so that way we can grow sports.
So Michael Gabato just put up a bid of $235. So up to $235 for the Blizzard Hammerhead Barrel First Strike Ready gun. The other thing that I want to kind of point out for some of the people that are out there, when you have a Blizzard or Vortex or a bolt even, much like any typical inline bolt system, everything is blowback. So the biggest thing with any blowback system is making sure that the air pressure is able to blow that system back and reset it on your sear. So a lot of times this opening right here, you can put a couple drops of oil right on that O-ring and just kind of cycle it through. That'll kind of spread the oil around, and then from there it'll start to work. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, they store it, they leave it charged back, air gets in there, the oil starts to dry out, your O-ring starts to dry out, then you go out to play and it's sputtering like crazy. And that's usually just because everything on the inside is dry.
And to store away too, you don't want to store away your marker it cocked back like this, because it's compressor spring. So next time you go use it, the spring is weakened. 2 conditions that may occur: one, you either get a sputter or it will not fire at all. So always store away with the handle forward. On the 468, a little bit different on that. You have to either overcome the spring by overcoming the lock bolt, by pushing it up, or you can take the spring out altogether. So one of those two will do. So basically you rack it back, and then you get a pen or something to stick it inside and push the lock bolt up to get out of the way. That allows you to get your bolt moving fully forward, and so that when in a resting position and your spring doesn't get compressed. So next time you go use it, your spring's still nice and fresh. Once your spring is compressed, you will lose velocity, or sometimes doesn't fire at all. One of those 2 conditions. Mike stepping out. All right, so go over again quickly on the auction. This is what's going on right now. Top bid is $235. All right, for the Blizzard.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to kind of point out, and I saw this also. Actually, there it is.
Okay.
Every lock bolt is going to react differently. This is another issue that I've seen a couple times. Your Phenom is probably the most simplistic system when it comes to the lock bolt, being that it is a blow forward system and the spring resets it every time. So when the bolt is released and it goes forward, it hits the lock bolt, the spring resets it right back into its position. So that's where those people that have hurricanes, when you're shooting and the lock bolt kicks in, you kind of hear just this little hissing noise, but it just continues. You can pull that trigger all day long and it'll function. Whereas with the Blizzard, the Bolt, the Vortex, or the 468, they're all blowback systems. So the spring sets it forward, the air pressure needs to be able to reset it. So with those systems, every time that lock bolt kicks in, it's going to just stay forward, and then you have to charge it every time. So every time you go through an empty mag and your lock bolt kicks in, you're going to have to charge the charging handle and then fire it. And that's just because they're blowback systems. Some people were having a little bit of issue on being able to test their guns and try to figure out what's going on, why it's not cycling properly. So you see the lock bolt lever that's in here, and those of you who don't have one or those that just got one, that little lever, when you push it up, you'll see a ledge on the back end of it, okay? And all I do is get a small little pin and wedge it right, so I kind of push it up in there and wedge something right below it. So right inside that little hole. Once you're inside there, hopefully this works right, it'll fire. Okay, so then you could actually test it, service it, make sure it's cycling properly. A lot of people seem at times when you're trying to walk them through some of the problems with the 468 on maintenance and cleaning it, seem to be a little frustrated because they feel like they always have to go outside and actually shoot a paintball. You can dry fire if you lock out that lock bolt. Once you do that, that'll help you be able to kind of get it cycling, knowing that it's actually functioning. Then you can go outside and get it chronoed and get it to the right speed.
All right, so the auction at $245 now by Timothy.
245, Michael.
245, yeah. And Glenn asked what kind of oil you use for your marker there.
We here use just Gold Cup. Gold Cup has a pretty consistent consistency. I have used in the past some hybrid type oils where it's a marker oil and silicone lube. Pure silicone is really good, but it at times tends to get a little thick in its consistency. So and some of these little comments are making me laugh. But anyways, I just tend to find where you're located is what oil you probably should go with. When I'm dealing with some of the customers that are in really hot regions, Arizona, Texas, I always recommend silicone lube because the heat itself will keep that marker and the consistency really fluid. Whereas if you're on the East Coast in really cold areas or up north, then I would recommend something more of a hybrid oil. Other than that, some of the speedball oil, the guns that some of the speedball markers use is also really good. I'm sure people have some better recommendations than I do.
Some people are asking where's Omar? Where's Omar, Mike?
Shot show. So, Omar is still around. I did have somebody here who always asks the same question because he comes and visits pretty regularly. And it just so happened when he was in here, Omar was on the phone, he heard him on the speaker, and I told him, you know, that's generally how it goes. The man is a very busy man, and he's got a lot of projects he's working on, besides just us. We had the benefit of having Omar here for a good solid 4.5, 5 years just to ourselves before he was able to really jump back into what he loves, which is real steel. So that's what he's working on, that's what he's doing, and he still has he says he misses the MagFed community quite a bit, and he can't wait to get back out to the fields and talk with all the players again, but he wants to do it when he actually has the right product. So hopefully that means that the shape projectile is coming soon, and we'll see Omar, all of us.
So he's in a box somewhere, crunching away.
All right, so our 245. So Michael Grabato's got it up to 245 for the.
No, Timothy Brook. He said then 245.
Who said Timothy?
Timothy.
Oh, Timothy Brook. He said I'm done at 245. So Mike Grabato, you got to put something else up. Can't do 245. It's already been caught. You got to go 255. So what does Aldo say? Dang. AK front assembly being compatible. Oh, no. The AK front assembly is not compatible with the 468. 468 is a completely different system than the old T68. A lot of that was screws and set screws that held the AK-47 assembly to the actual front end of the MagFed adapter or split fire or whichever system they used. But the 468 obviously is a mil-spec adapter, so there's no spacing there for you to actually thread it onto, and you probably wouldn't want to either.
Shout out to Record Legend. And if you guys are not down south, make sure you go to Dominion. More than likely want to be there.
Well, first weekend of March, they will have Dominion.
So we're scheduled to be there, but you know anything can happen. So until the day of the event, it can change. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, we're probably gonna end the auction and end the show for today.
Yeah, I think that was pretty simple for today. Jonathan wasn't here, he kind of had an emergency, so he had to take off. But we're kind of at a conundrum. Timothy Brooks said he's done at 245. Mike Robato chimed in at 245. So I got to give it to Timothy Brooks if Michael does not come up with an extra 10. I got to be fair here, man. I know you're closer, but Timothy Brooks did the 245 first. Carlos Alba is asking about Omar and the shape rounds. I think I just kind of went over that a little bit. I mean, he's really, really busy. I know he's currently at SHOT Show doing a lot of the stuff for the Real Steel. As far as the shape rounds, I would love to give you the update of where we're at, but unfortunately we can't. All I can say is we're closer than ever.
Than ever, I guess. We're almost there. Really, the last podcast that we did, I was saying that we're pretty much at the automation stage. So once we get the automation all set up, we're just gonna spit them out like mad. So we're just around the corner. Once we have that, we'll crank it out, and everyone will able to shoot these rounds at about 10 to 15 cents a shot. That way even regular players, new players can actually use them, because right now we're almost every game we go to, only the players that have been playing for a while and the players that have the budget that can shoot first strike. It's a shame, because it's of course it's a big advantage shooting them, but at the same time the new players are the one that actually you want them. The new players are the one that kind of carry the sport into the future. So you want them to participate too. You want them to shoot all these great rounds and enjoy what we player already know and enjoy. But for them to actually purchase a box of 100 rounds for $40, a lot of them cannot make that leap. At the same time, a lot of them are trying into the sport, and so they're getting loaners. They're getting pretty much hand-me-down stuff. They don't see themselves able to purchase these rounds unless they're insignificant in price enough for them. Just, you know what, a few dollars, not gonna hurt. That's when we actually see the sport will grow and shine in that respect. So we're almost there. It's been probably about 4 years now that the project started, and we're at the point where we just release. That's it. That's the next news that you will hear from us, is that they're available for purchase and where. That's it. And that will be the next update that we'll provide.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I don't remember. Damn it.
About Shape or about other projects?
Listening to you talk.
That's what happened when you're gonna, and then you forget.
Yeah, just kind of. Well, I'm kind of watching this whole thing with the auction. So again, one last time where we're at with the auction. You have it? I don't have it. We're at 245, and it's going to Timothy Brooks so far, unless somebody comes in with 255. So probably give it about another 5 minutes or so before we sign off. So Mike Gabato, if you want it, you seem to be the one that was going a little head to head with Timothy Brooks there. You need another extra $10, brother.
So let's end this at 5:50. So about another 5 more minutes. That way, everyone has a fair shot at it. So let me go over one more time, so that way you know exactly what you're getting. And
we're not putting a link up for the auction this time. We're just doing it live right on the chat. That's why we're kind of late today. Our system was not letting us upload the auction. So we're just doing it live in the chat. Just go ahead. We're at 245. If you want this, what KT's about to stop, just go ahead and $10 increments, go up the next one, and it's all yours.
So this is the auction marker. It has pretty much everything you want and ready to go. I think the only thing I would probably want to upgrade is maybe a tank in the buttstock. That's pretty much it. But other than that, it comes with 2 magazines, 1 Helix, 1 D-Mag, first strike ready, shape bolt.
And then I went and added a hammerhead barrel.
Hammerhead barrel.
So you're actually getting a hammerhead bang stick with a 6/8 fin.
Mm-hmm.
So just perfect for first strikes. It's pretty much your set.
That there is the barrels itself is about $100. You get the scope, you get the riser. You're pretty much ready for action right here.
Lock bolt to a javelin bolt. Al, talking about a Blizzard, not a 468.
You know what? The next auction, I'll put in one of the prototype lock bolt into this before release. So if not this one, because it's not in there, wouldn't be fair to put it in now. But on the next streaming, the next auction, I'll put in a prototype lock bolt in. And then you guys can go at that. Whoever gonna get that will be the first person to have a lock bolt under
in their Blizzard.
Yeah.
Which is actually a pretty sweet setup, because it does have a twist feature that locks it out. I know there's a lot of people that like, I want to remove my lock bolt. I don't like it. I want to be able to just shoot and dry fire, which is fine. So what we did, and one of the latest delays on the lock bolt, was because we wanted to put that feature in. So you could actually turn it off, turn it on. You twist it and it'll kick in. You don't want to use it. You just actually pull it out, twist it out where it hangs on the ledge, and then it doesn't kick in.
Yeah, like I said, one of the reasons why we did that is because of the new players. New players, we need to make a system, a lock bolt system that will allow them to kind of turn off and on. That way, they can overcome the difficulties that they're gonna have, because lock bolt is not really that friendly. You have to bang, 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 rack back, reload, and then add it again. That's why it's sometimes new players, that extra step, it's a barrier.
So just keep in mind, I mean, you may miss out on this one, but like I've told certain people, certain people have seen when they're here, like I've explained, I have racks and racks of shelving space full of accessories that we've used for photo ops, videos, whatever, and I'm kind of just every week gathering up a little of everything and trying to put together a pretty kick-ass gun that we're going to auction off. So every week that we do these live feeds, we're going to have a live auction on, and just try to move some of the stuff that's sitting around instead of throwing it out or letting it sit there for years.
All right, we're about 5:50, so we're pretty much going to end the auction and then live streaming. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll hope to see you out in the field. And see you next week.
So it looks like it is going to be Timothy Brooks at 245. He got last week's gun, and now it looks like he's got this week's gun. Timothy Brooks, you're killing it. All right, guys. We'll hopefully have a little bit more something for next week that we can kind of be a little more engaging. Hopefully Jonathan will be back, and we'll see you next week.
It's just to end this. The stream will always be on Wednesday at 4:30 to 5, right between there. The reason is Monday you have Behind the Bunker. Tuesday you have Maritime Museum. So we decided to do Wednesday, kind of pretty much out the way. We don't want to take away anybody's time, so it's kind of in between there. So that way it doesn't overlap any of the shows out there.
So we'll be asking about pistol info.
The pistol. Well, the pistol's on the way, so when we have it, we'll show you guys. But
did you check with Omar? Okay. Last I heard, Omar was undecisive on whether or not he wanted to show it off. He definitely wants to wait till it's completed. And we probably shouldn't even say that much, but there is a pistol in the works, and we've kind of gotten a black eye in the past from showing things too early.
Right.
Hydra.
Yeah.
But things need to be finished out, and this time around we are going to wait till it's actually in pre-production before we start to kind of post it, because at least that way we'll have a target goal for when it will be available.
Right. That's it. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.
Combat Sports.